So this is how much I made my very first week owning a Subway franchise, and stick to the end because it's not what you expect. All right, so come in.
All right, so when I saw this video, I have not watched the entirety of this video. When I saw this video, I immediately had an idea of where this was going to be going. Why? Because people know me as the franchise guy. I've made a bunch of videos on Subway. I've researched their background and done videos on their stores, how they perform, all that jazz. So anyways, let's just dive in. I'm very curious what he's going to say, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions, but I want to save them, so stick with me.
Into this, my goal was to have $7,000 a week, so that's $1,000 a day. When I bought the store, they were doing like 300 to 600, 700 on a great day, every single day. So they weren't doing the $7,000 a week. So that was the goal.
Guys, all right. So let's just break this down for a second, right? If we pull out a calculator and we say, okay, if a store is, let's just call it $500 a day times, my food franchises are open 363 days a year. We were only closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving. So let's do $500 times 363. That's only $181,000 in sales, guys. That's terrible. A lot of places, I mean, he's gonna go through his costs and I think his rent and stuff like that. So we'll see what that looks like. But any sort of food franchise or anything with a retail location, if you're not doing more than at least $400,000 to $500,000 in sales, it's almost impossible to make money. So I think we have an idea where this is going.
My first week in total revenue was $5,666.88. That is how much money I collected in sales, was that amount, right? And that was under my...
All right, so let's do the math on that. 5,666.88 times 52 weeks a year. That's $294,677,000. So I'm guessing he bought a turnaround location and probably got the Subway for pretty cheap, because Subway isn't really an exploding brand. I think most people would consider it a dying brand. And by the way, there are so many way better franchise opportunities and business opportunities than buying a Subway. Most people think about food. There's all sorts of different franchises that aren't food related, that cost less, that make more. Stay tuned.
$7,000 goal by 1,300 and some change. Now, of course, I have expenses, so it's not like I just took on $5,000 that week and just went and party. Like, no, I had expenses that I have to pay for me to make that, $5,000, blah, 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 blah. So my cost of goods, or the cost for me to buy like a turkey, to all of that stuff, my cost of goods was $1,666.80, which was roughly 29% of how much I made. So it's 29% of the $5,000 that I made, which is not horrendous, but I like to keep it 28% and under.
Boom. Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. So when I owned my stores, I owned some juice and smoothie franchises, we really wanted to keep our what's called COGS, cost of goods, at 27% or lower. So that doesn't just include food, the paper, the plastic, the wrappers, the cups, the napkins, the condiments, right? Those are all of those things overall. I mean, if you could be at 25% less, even better. But in the grand scheme of things, when you start thinking about a business that's doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue and potentially millions, 1 percentage point, 2 percentage points makes a huge difference. So as an example, the difference between being at 29% versus 27% on a $300,000 store, 1% is what, $3,000? 2% is $6,000. So in theory, basically running at 2% over on your cost, that comes directly off your bottom line, your profit. So if you're running 2% over, that's $6,000 in profit that you are essentially costing yourself by not managing your cost. So when you see people at different food places skimping you on food and doing a short scoop, well, they're trying to manage their cost of goods is what they're trying to do. And a lot of managers in food places, QSRs, quick serve restaurants, they get incentivized based off of what their COGS are.
My labor for that week was $960, which is not horrible. It's pretty good, but considering I worked 13 hours, I worked open to close every single day for that whole week and the whole next 2 months. So the fact that I had to pay that much in labor and I worked that much, it's not good. So it's not gonna help with how much I actually take home, because I paid a lot in labor, but I was here the whole time. So it's not like I paid for labor and I was able to not be here. I was actually here. So this was not passive at all. Nothing about this was passive. So $960 went toward my labor, my employees. I got the royalty fees, for.
Okay, so $960 in labor. What did he say his revenue was again? Was it five? I think it was 566.88. So he's running at 17% labor cost. Typically you want to keep it below 22%, somewhere between 22 and 25% on labor costs. And again, that's not factoring in the fact that, like he said, he was working 13-hour days. And, it's hard when you have a location that's underperforming like that. It is so difficult to make money, and it's so difficult to manage your labor cost at below a certain threshold, because you can't go less than one person, right? You can't go less than one person in the store operating. So if you're not producing enough sales and you're paying someone $10 an hour and you want to run at 25% labor cost or lower, then you basically need to be doing $40 or more in sales an hour. And if you have a couple of hours where you're only doing $20 in sales for that hour, you can't have no one in the store. So it's very, very, very difficult to run and operate a business like this without higher sales. And you're really going to have to grind it out. And or the ideal situation would be, and what I would recommend, is that you get, someone for a lower cost of labor, whether you can pay someone $8, $9, $10 an hour to take his place in the store, and then he goes out and focuses on generating revenue. So what can he do to go do things that will increase revenue? So go do business development, go network with the business owners, and try to get catering clients, and go, handing out coupons. So because if you're working in the business, you don't have the opportunity to work on the business. And the only way to bridge that gap and become more profitable and be able to reduce your labor costs by increasing sales is to go out and figure out a way to grow your sales. And that's not going to happen by working in the store. It's tough though. There's zero judgment, zero shame. I've been there. I remember my second location that I bought as a turnaround location, like many, many, many days of, 10, 12-hour days working in the store and the location, trying to make it work, trying to figure things out.
For Subway is 12.5 or whatever your gross is, and that came out to $708.36 that I had to pay out to Subway. And then I have my rent. My rent per week is.
So, what did he say the royalties were?
And that came out to towards my labor, my employees. I got the royalty fees. So the royalty fees for Subway is 12.5 or whatever your gross is, and that came out.
So that's high. The 12.5 is high. Usually that's probably him including like marketing, the marketing fee. But like my royalties were 7%, and then there was, I believe 2.5% they collected for advertising, and they sent out a bunch of stuff. There was things that they did to cover that cost. So I was paying about 9.5%. 12.5% is quite high, but also you're in a business where they're constantly on TV, they're constantly running ads. So there probably is a lot of bang for your buck that you get out of it, although, they are a dying brand.
$108.36 that I had to pay out to Subway. And then I have my rent. My rent per week is $750. I had to pay that out. Then I have the electricity bill.
Guys, $750 per week. That's pretty low. And that's part of how this store is surviving right now. $750 per week times 4, that's $3,000 a month. That's not much. My store is, let's see, my first location I built from scratch was 1170 square feet, so 1,170 square feet. In the beginning, our actual rent was about $3,500 a month, but we also have what's called CAM, common area maintenance expenses, and then taxes and insurance that the landlord all bills you for. So all in, I think our rent checks were somewhere around $4,500 a month to start, and then they increase. The way that commercial leases run, they increase every year, typically by at least 3%. And then my other store that I bought about 8 or 9 months later in Florida, that store was 1,400 square feet, which was unnecessary. And so our rent was higher. It was like 5,000, 5,200, something like that a month. And so you can see how you really need to be at a certain level of sales to support that.
Which was $200. That is $200 per week. It's about $800 a month. So I split it up like that. It's $200 per week. Plus $250. I had to pay that out. Then I have the electricity bill, which was $200. That is $200 per week. It's about $800 a month. So I split it up like that. It's $200 per week. And then I have
his electricity bill is $800 a month. Wow, that's a lot. Interesting. I'm trying to remember what ours was. I think in the California store during the summertime, it was $800 a month. This is get very hot where we were. We were in the Inland Empire area, easily 90s, 100 degrees, and the AC pumping, and big, huge refrigerators and freezers. But in the off season when it wasn't that hot, I think it was only like $400 or $500 a month. $800 a month consistently, that's high.
I just buy stuff. It's just extra stuff. I take out 100 out of there just for that. And then what I'm saving for my remodel is technically the loan payment. And I'm doing $350 a week for that. So what my take home was after all the expenses was $931.72. And I know a lot of people will be like, hey, if I could just sit at home and make $931, that'd be cool. I didn't sit at home. I was here open to close 13, 14 hours. I was here open to close. So $931.72 was actually horrendous. One of my worst weeks. And the next week actually was a lot worse, but I'll do a whole separate video on that. It was a lot worse. But yeah, that's how much I made in profit, was $931.72 my first week owning a Subway franchise.
That's that's a good point. My heart goes out to that guy. Number one, kudos for him for hustling, working in a store 12, 13 hours a day. It's not easy. I know what it's like being on your feet all day. It's tough. And sometimes, you might be the only one in the store. It's not an easy gig. It's not glamorous at all. So shout out to him hustling, being transparent, sharing what he's sharing, and just bringing awareness overall. And, having owned multiple food franchises myself, I never knew that food was a low profit margin type of business. I didn't know. And I wish I would have known that before, putting out $340,000 to get my first location open. Fortunately, we made money. We were profitable. It all worked out. But hindsight being 2020, I could have put that same $340,000 and got way more bang for my buck. And so if you're someone who's just kind of like interested in the franchise world and you're curious what opportunities are out there that have better investment potential, then I put together a list of 5 low-cost franchises, low cost, that all make $1 million or more in sales. So if you want to grab that, you can go to franchiseempire.com/low cost. We'll put the link down in the description below if you want to check that out. We have a video so you can watch it. We have a whole PDF breakdown. It's pretty cool. But anyways, if you like this video, let me know what you thought about this in the breakdown in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe before you go. And let me know if you want me to make more like reaction videos like this, walking through other people's videos. It's a new style that we're doing and kind of testing out. So we'll see if you guys like it. If it gets views and engagement and all that stuff, then we'll keep doing it. And if it flops, then we probably won't. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.